Hi everyone. Tonight we're going to read a book. We're going to start reading a chapter book and we'll do a few chapters every night until it's finished and we'll see how it goes. We're going to read The Adventures of the Bailey School Kids, Ghouls Don't Scoop Ice Cream. Here it is. So I hope you guys all enjoy the book and we'll take it from here. So chapter 1 is called Vampire Teacher. I can't believe it, Eddie complained after school. Melody sat down hard on the ground under a big oak tree beside her friends Eddie, Howie, and Liza. Melody's black pigtails bounced as she shook her head. I can't believe we have to do 100 math problems before tomorrow. I wanted to finish reading my library book. Lisa looked ready to cry now. Now I have to spend my whole night figuring out these problems. Howie opened his math book to the page 96. Actually, these review problems are fairly easy. It'll be fun. Eddie threw his baseball cap at Howie. Math is so not fun. Soccer is fun. Doodle gum shake is fun, but math is not fun. Doodle gum shakes? Liza shrieked. That would make us feel better. Let's go get one. The 4 kids took off across the playground. They looked both ways before crossing Forest Lane and racing down the sidewalk to Burger Doodle Restaurant. I bet the other 3rd graders don't have to do all those math problems, Eddie complained. That's because other 3rd grades don't have a vampire for a teacher, Howie said. We never actually proved that Mrs. Jeepers is a vampire, Liza said when they turned the corner. After all, if she was a real vampire, then how could she be awake during the day? Vampires are only supposed to be awake at night. It's because of her magic brooch, Eddie told her. I bet that's the reason that she can be awake during the day. Liza put her hands on her hips as they stood in front of the Burger Doodle restaurant. Even if she's a vampire, maybe she can't help herself. Howie closed his math book. Maybe Mrs. Jeepers isn't a vampire. Maybe she's a ghoul. A ghoul? Eddie and Liza shouted together. What in the world is a ghoul? Liza asked. A ghoul is a spy for a vampire, Howie explained. I learned about ghouls when I was reading a book about vampires. Melody nodded. She remembered when Howie and she had read that garlic would repel vampires. They had taken a bottle of garlic salt and sprinkled it around their classroom. Sure enough, their teacher, Mrs. Jeepers, had started sneezing. See, she was allergic to the garlic, just like a vampire. Liza grabbed the door handle to Burger Doodle. Let's forget all this crazy talk about ghouls and vampires and get a big, fat doodle gum shake. All right, Eddie yelled and barged past Lisa. But what he saw inside a restaurant made him stop dead in his tracks. So chapter 2 is called Scout. Who is that? Melody whispered, pointing to the figure behind the Burger Doodle counter. She's the new counter worker, Howie explained. How can you tell it's a she? Eddie said. I can't even see her face. It was true. The new worker wore a dark blue sweatsuit with a hood pulled over her head. My dad brought me here last night, Howie told them. When you get up close to her, she looks like a girl. Come on, Liza said. Let's get our shakes. Liza walked right up to the counter. 1 doodle gum shake, please, she said. The girl behind the counter looked up with red eyes that seemed to stare right through Liza. The counter girl didn't smile, and she was so pale and she looked sick. Silently, she made the shake with slow movements and then sat it down in front of Liza. That will be $1, the girl said. It sounded like she was talking in her sleep. Liza gulped and pulled out $1 out of her jacket pocket. When Liza handed over the money, she noticed the girl's name tag. It said Scout in big white letters. Liza took the shake to the far corner booth and she waited for her friends. When they arrived with their shakes, they spoke in hushed tones. Did you see that girl's eyes? Eddie asked. I think she was up all night milking the cow to make these shakes. Shh, said Liza. Maybe she's sick and she can't help how her eyes look. If she's sick, Eddie said loudly. She should be home in bed, not making my milkshakes. I don't want to end up with red eyes either. Melody giggled. Red eyes would match your hair perfectly. In Scout syrup, Howie said, nodding towards the counter. The kids started to stare at Scout. The hooded girl silently scooped a big block of red ice cream into a dish and then poured heavy red liquid on top. Scout took back the dish to the small table in the back where she stuck her pale face close to the dish and started slurping. Yuck, Melody said softly. Doesn't she have any manners? Liza nervously took a sip of her milkshake and continued watching Scout lick up the red syrup. When she finished, the new counter girl looked up with her red eyes. Liza choked on her milkshake when she noticed how the sticky red syrup dribbling down Scout's chin looked just like blood. Chapter 3: Neighborhood of the Dead. The bells on the door of Burger Doodle jingled when it opened suddenly. Eddie quickly lowered his head and slurped his shake. He wasn't fast enough to miss Carrie batting her long eyelashes in his direction. Carrie was in their class, and she had a habit of following Eddie wherever he went. Melody giggled. Carrie likes you, she told Eddie. She does not, Eddie said. Then why does she always wink at you? Liza asked. Because she's so batty, Eddie said. Ignore her and she'll go away. Carrie did not go away. Instead, she skipped across the floor so that her blonde curls bounced. She stopped right by Eddie. I knew I'd find you here, Carrie said. I think I'll get a shake too. I'd like to shake her, Eddie mumbled when she skipped to the counter. I'd like to shake her all the way to the North Pole. Be nice, Liza warned. She isn't hurting anyone. Not yet, Eddie said as Carrie brought her drink to the table and squeezed in between Eddie and Melody. Why aren't you home working on your math problems? Howie asked. Carrie shook her head and batted her eyelashes. I can't go home yet. We're moving today. My daddy just bought a house on Olympus Lane. Carrie's father was the president of the Bailey City Bank. Her family had more money than anyone in Bailey City. Carrie was so used to getting everything she wanted. Carrie spoke loudly enough for everyone in the entire restaurant to hear. Our house is the biggest one in the entire neighborhood. Melody rolled her eyes. It may be the biggest, but I wouldn't want to live there, she told Carrie. Why not? Carrie asked. Because, Melody said, all those houses are next to the cemetery. It's in the neighborhood of the dead. And he started to laugh, but then Scout's ice cream scooper clattered to the floor. Liza gasped when Scout headed their way. She's moving so fast over the shiny aluminum that it looked like she was gliding. The 5 kids looked up into the red eyes of the strange ice cream worker. Scout stared straight at Carrie. Tell me about your new neighborhood, Scout asked in her slow, serious voice. There are not many houses, Carrie told her. It's very quiet, especially since the cemetery is close by. Eddie laughed. That's right, he said. There's no one to bother you except dead people. Excellent, Scout said slowly. Why do you want to know about Carrie's neighborhood, Liza asked. Scout turned her red eyes toward Liza. Because, she said, the family I work for is planning to move to Bailey City. I came before them to investigate. Investigate what? Howie asked. I'm looking for the perfect house, Scout said, and I think I might find it in Carrie's neighborhood. Scout slowly turned and made her way back to the ice cream counter. The 5 kids watched her grab a small tape recorder. Scout talked in low tones into the tiny recorder. That girl gives me the creeps, Melody said. I've never ever heard of a house detective before, Eddie said. Howie shook his head. I don't think she's a detective, he said. I think she's a spy.